It's no secret. It's plain to see. I love you, and you love me. It's no secret. You know it's true. You love me. I love you. The only time we seem to meet is in the middle of the night. Only then can I feel your heartbeat. Till something's not right. Together I see you and me, always and
Hello, good morning. Welcome to PsychCandy for Thursday, July 7th. Our week's just kind of moving right along. Forgive me if I say this wrong. Some people have spelled the way you're doing it, Bet. It's either Bet or Betty. But I'm happy to have you here. Thanks for coming. Everybody that's tuned in on YouTube, welcome. Everybody on Twitch, welcome. Today is part one, kind of where we're going over the next 3 shows. And we're talking about finding your own balance, your own truth, your own authenticity of where you are, what you've come from. Before I get into that, if you don't know, my name is Dr. Trinity Michaels. I've been doing clinical and personal psychology for 25 years. I write a lot of articles, and I talk a lot about self-empowerment, self-development, working through depression, working through anxiety, working through relationship problems. And Elizabeth, welcome. Glad to see you. And so, but today I'm going to kind of dive into a lot of different aspects about us and how we process where we are, what we're doing. Tomorrow, don't miss it also, because I'm going to have a co-host with me tomorrow. The lovely Deanna Salas-Freeman is going to be here. She just has a great approach to when you're dealing with trauma and things of this nature. She has a show called Laughter After Trauma, but she's going to join me on my show tomorrow to continue part 2 of what I'm starting today. Today, I want to talk to you about being real with yourself, being real with others, developing that authenticity. You know, when couples come to me for therapy, they often report that they're having like a communication problem, which is actually one of the leading issues that couples face. You know, that communication's the number one still breakdown of a relationship. If we stop communicating, then we leave that room, don't we, for assumption, for speculation. And while the communication problem is maybe true, more importantly, they're having trouble being real, both with themselves and with each other. The foundation for a healthy and vibrant partnerships and friendships is forged through authentic mutual sharing of what each person is experiencing inside, along with how they communicate their experience to each other. Many of us pride ourselves on being authentic. But authenticity, that's a tricky term. It points towards an ongoing process of uncovering what's brewing kind of deep down inside of us. We may pride ourselves on being real when we express our quote-unquote honest opinion about what's wrong with someone or become rageful. But this doesn't qualify as authentic communication. Attacking, judging, blaming others is far from what it means to be real and honest. These cause more harm usually than anything else. Authenticity involves a sincere effort to go deep inside ourselves and uncover what we're actually experiencing and then communicate that. True authenticity requires that we pause. We have to kind of do a check-in with ourselves before responding, rather than just haphazardly venting emotions in a reactive way. This is what gets many in deeper trouble or causes serious harm to that relationship. I want to share two really important key ingredients here to keep in mind. These are ingredients that comprise a robust and interpersonally engaging authenticity. The first one is being mindful. Listen, there can be no authenticity without mindful awareness of what we're actually experiencing. Mindfulness means attending to our experience just as it is without judging ourselves. We allow our experiences to be just as it is. Oftentimes, we don't allow ourselves to experience what is because it's contaminated by shame and other factors. We imagine that something is wrong with us for having particular feelings. We try to fit ourselves into some image of how we think that we need to be in order to be respected or loved. And we judge ourselves as weak or defective if we experience uncomfortable feelings, such as sadness, hurt, fear. And we may be convinced that if we showed vulnerability to others, they'd be so horrified that they'd just reject us or think less of us. But vulnerable feelings are simply a part of being human. It's a great strength to embrace our humanity, not a weakness. Bringing a gentle mindfulness to, the full range of our human experience and disclosing this to people that we want to be close to creates a climate for very rich and deep connections. By being mindful of what we're experiencing from moment to moment, we stay connected to ourselves. And this intimacy with ourselves creates a foundation for being more intimate with others. Noticing and sharing our authentic experience invites people towards us. Allowing a person to see what's real for us, we invite them into our heart. Now, that process is very hard, especially if you've come out of bad relationships. You've come out of the treacherous. You've come out of the narcissistic abuse from somebody. You've come out of maybe trauma, things of that nature, and we shut down. We start feeling that we are doing the right thing by shutting down. We are building that defense system. Now, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't be cautious. Of course you should. But you also can't get to a place where you are not allowing yourself to experience a moment and feel a moment and process through a moment. Even when we talk about trust, most of us, I don't personally know anybody that's never had their trust broken, or sometimes they've never even broken trust. But when you've had that trust broken over and over and over again, guess what? You get to that place, right? I don't trust anybody. How many people do you know that say that? Do you say that? I don't trust anybody. I've learned a long time ago. Trust, screw it, not trusting. But see, to trust is a seed. And you're not going to gain trust or build trust if you don't plant trust. So you have to plant it. You got to keep planting it. When you've had trust broken, get out there and trust again. Try it over and over. You have to keep exercising trust or you'll lose that very crucial, important element that's required in any solid foundation or any solid friendship or partnership or relationship. You got to have trust. If you don't trust somebody, you're not going very far. Now, I've worked with people. Okay, now if we take this into a situation like that, I've had plenty of people I've worked with that I didn't trust them. But guess what? I didn't. They're not part of my personal world. They're not part of my. I don't have to go home and see them. I don't have to go home and share space. I'm simply in a different environment where I can be professional. I can be kind. I can be all of those things. But I don't have to exercise a full trust system with them. But does that mean that I personally am not a trusting person? No. Typically, my rule of thumb is I will trust you until you give me reason not to. Now, if you keep giving me reason not to trust you, well, that's obviously a situation where no, you're not expected to keep trusting that person that keeps hurting you. See, it's different. But once I'm away from that relationship or away from that situation, well, I'm still going to turn around and trust people. Now, the next point I want to talk about is being kind. And we've probably known people who are kind, but they're emotionally dishonest. They hide their genuine feelings, leaving us to guess about how they feel or what they want. And it's difficult to connect with people who are not sincere and direct. And we may choke on their sweetness when it's not linked with authenticity. However, the attempt to be real without the softening ingredients of kindness can quickly morph into brutality. Mindfulness wedded to kind communication is a very powerful force. Being aware of our feelings and wants and conveying them in a kind way is more likely to be well received. I mean, listen, human hearts are tender. People become less defensive and more receptive when we communicate our feelings, not only genuinely, but with gentleness. It takes to heart how vulnerable we all are. I like this statement. It's actually part of Buddhism. It's in the right speech, but before speaking, we might pause and ask ourselves, is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary? Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Now, in my work as a therapist, I notice how connections become deeper and sweeter as the couple or the person becomes mindful of what they're authentically experiencing. And then as they cultivate the courage and skills to convey this kind and gentle aspect in ways, it becomes easier. Rather than struggle to change, fix, or analyze each other, love thrives in a climate of mutual authenticity, bathed in the gentle waters of kindness. People who feel safe being together are naturally drawn into a deeper participation in each other's hearts. That's true, right? Listen, being real is important, but you got to be real and true with yourself. You have to be real and true in understanding who you are, where you've come from, what you're feeling, what you need, what are your struggles, and how are you going to get through them. But also, what's going to be left on the other end? Well, what needs to be left on the other end is that you are still going to be able to allow yourself to be vulnerable sometimes. You got to allow yourself to still trust. You have to allow yourself to be honest and true and communicate. And the better you become at communication, you'll become the rock star of your own life in every relationship you have, I promise you. It's a fact. When you stop communicating, you start building a layer of bad shit. That's just the way it is. Don't stop communicating. Don't nestle into that world or that land of assumption, speculation. So finding that authenticity, that is part of finding your truth. That's part of finding your depth, your reason, your target. Over the next 2 days, we're going to continue this, and we're going to be diving in deeper and taking in different aspects. And tomorrow, with the show that Deanna Salas Freeman is going to be co-hosting with me, at the end of the show, we're going to have the last 15 minutes. We're going to allow you guys to come up, and you get to ask questions. You can share a story. You can comment, right? But I want to encourage you guys to please not miss tomorrow. And this is going to be really powerful food, I hope, that you guys are able to take into yourself and do something with it to help you rise to a better place, to help you elevate to be the best and most beautiful you that you can be. Well, guys, I hope that this did some good for you today. Wishing all of you many, many bright blessings today. I hope your Thursday goes absolutely amazing. Tomorrow's Friday. Thank God we get to wrap this up and finish this week off. But at least it was a short week, right? I do invite you, if you have not been to my website, please go to PsychCandy.org. We're going to be doing some changes to the PsychCandy Empowerment Bootcamp, just so you know. We're actually going to be doing it live in a city. So the virtual is not going to happen at the end of July. We're going to be changing the dates slightly, and we're going to be moving this a little further into September. And we're going to be doing it live in New Orleans. We're going to New Orleans. So look for that. And until next time, guys, be happy, be healthy, and most importantly, be you.